So I really do need there to be a girl I can dream about doing really expensive things with. As soon as I start dreaming I'm rich, and there's really a truth with manifestation-wise, everything gets better. There's no need for medication. There's no need for therapy. We start dreaming. Respect Me is wearing a suit, and I can name the specific kind of designer suit it is, specific kind of tie I want to be wearing. Respect Me is wearing that, and then boom, and then her head immediately does this video game thing where it changes reality. And when someone changes the way that they look at things, it changes reality. It actually changes reality. I think there's a quote by Wayne Dyer that was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. And you actually need someone outside of you, refusing to accept what God made the world and just completely rewriting the code of reality. And when there's a sexual aspect that actually does have manifesting power, it does change everything. Now, I was going to make a video, like I said, and I have to use my cell phone for it because there's no Wi-Fi on this train. There used to be Wi-Fi on this train, but there isn't on this, right? And so we just had the announcer, the conductor of the train say, oh, we had, sorry for the 45-minute delay. So we're not going to make the 10 o'clock curfew at Father Joe's. And this is just the stuff that happens. So I would ask my personal assistant right now to use his phone, which would be tapped into my AI, to ask AI about the dozens of pages that I said to scan in for my intake over there. And I scanned it in, and I've got it inside of the source files of a project. I would ask my assistant to just, okay, am I allowed one of these, two of these, three of these? What's the repercussions of this? It's probably no big deal, but it's just the stuff you gotta keep your eye out for, because okay, if I can't have more than three, we gotta be extra careful going forward. But I don't know, so I gotta ask my personal assistant, because when my head is fully alive and functioning, I gotta ask my personal assistant, and I gotta explain kind of why I need someone else, kind of an accessory brain to springboard off of. It's because when I have to now look at my phone or look at my laptop screen, and then, okay, well, for organizational purposes, we're going to ask a separate chat that question inside of the project that has that source file right there. Right there. It's over. My servant does that for me. Phones and computers do suck your energy. That's why the president of the United States has someone else doing that for him. He's not looking at a computer. He goes on Twitter like I do and screws the world up. But he doesn't, do his own Outlook. I need someone doing my Outlook for me. There's just a truth to it. When you want to reach a high level, you got to have someone else doing that for you. So that's a question I would ask. I need to know, for reassurance purposes, what we have to do going forward, since we're not going to make the 10 o'clock curfew. And it's all in those papers. So that's one of the things I'm going to have to do after this. I guess that they're narrating my way through life, or I could just narrate it to someone in real time and they do it for me, and then we have a discussion back and forth about what he's seeing on the phone. So that's something that I would tell my personal assistant. That's very
Ladies and gentlemen,
immediate.
our next station stop, just about 30 minutes to Old Town, or OLT.
So we're not far from Santa Fe Station.
Next stop in 30 minutes, Old Town.
Okay, he's saying in 30 minutes. Yeah, we're not going to make it. Anyway.
Valley Hotel Circle, Mission Bay, La Jolla,
Yeah,
UTC,
it's
San Diego International Airport.
9:25 p.m.
Old Town Transit Center is our next stop, 30 minutes.
So we're 30 minutes from the next
Final
stop. So we're having a nice.
Downtown San Diego, the Santa Fe Depot.
That's where we
That'll
wish
be
we were.
approximately 40 minutes from now. Downtown San Diego, SAN on your ticket. Santa Fe
So that's gonna be
Depot,
10 minutes
all the
past
same
10.
thing.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
the heart of downtown, Marcadero. Furthest station south if you're connecting with the blue line to San Ysidro.
Okay.
Once again, our next
And that's
stop,
the Santa
Old
Fe.
Town
That's not the
Transit
12th and
Center, 30
Imperial.
minutes.
So that's one thing I'd ask my assistant to do for me. The other thing is, there's just a truth to it. When you think the way I do, you have to. So North County is not MTS, but there's always been MTS used to run. So 101 North County Transit's 101 Breeze bus. And the Pronto Pass, by the way, here in San Diego works on both. But there we go. So you get a Pronto card, you can ride North County, you can ride the buses, and speaking of the commute that I really like, so if I could snag a job in North County, I could be there at Father Joe's, or we could transfer me up to some shelter in like Escondido or something like that. I don't know, but if you have to go either way, on the coaster, there's like $100 monthly pass, which is a good thing to have, and you make that in a couple of days working a minimum wage job. So where was I? So I saw on the Breeze buses last time I was here. And I scanned the QR code, and I thought I had told AI put something like in a to-do list for me to try to apply for a cleaner job or something like that with North County Transit District, because wherever I can get work, there, here, there, it's There's no real borderline. It's just, let's call these the breeze buses, let's call this MTS. And I guess I'd never done that. But you come back up into North County and you start riding the breeze buses, or even, you're on the coast, or you see an ad, or they don't have ads on the coast. Are there ads on the coast? I should remember. But do you see an ad on the bus and it says, the QR code and apply to work at North County Transit District. So then you get reminded of it. And so it comes back into your head. So I would tell my personal assistant right now to open up a laptop and generate resumes and cover letters for all the jobs in the North County Transit District and submit job applications for me. I would tell them to just do it right here next to me on the train, and we'd have my whole entourage here. It literally requires executive level, Donald Trump level, Trump organization just to get a job so that I can do the most basic things. Because that's how I am. And so that's what I would tell my assistant to do. My assistant would open up a laptop. He'd have his own laptop. I wouldn't have to look at a computer. I'd be out there having an incredible time. He'd be doing all that stuff. He would tell me it's all done, and we've got, expect the emails, and I'll be keeping track of that stuff going forward, and I'll let you know when you're going to be interviewing for it. And he would keep it, and he would just get my body and my person into the interview, or get my body and my person on the phone with the person, and get me prepped for it and prepared for it, what I need to know, what my identity is for the interview to do damn well. And it's a go. What else would I tell my personal assistant right now? You see how this is me like making a list of things to do later, but if I could just tell my personal assistant. So some people would say maybe you need an AI agent or something like that. But again, I've been out of the game so long because of my 2.5 years in jail and because everything. That's an amount of time these days where new things come out. I need someone to walk me through the best stuff in computing. They don't have that stuff at the computer center at the homeless shelter in downtown San Diego. I need to be talking to a tech expert. So there's another thing. If I've got a personal assistant, we might have old technology. There might be new things we could look at that could streamline his work, streamline my work. I still need the person, but he should be using AI assistant. Well, that's him to look at because he's the genius of it. This is my scheduling. This is my personal assistant or whatever you call it. And so he's working with the best. I shouldn't have to worry about that. We know he's working with the best technology. He's got the best stuff in the industry. But if I have to do it for myself, because a computer has to be that person in lieu of, or my phone has to be that person in lieu of a real person, even though I'd like it to be a real person, someone is going to have to get me set up with it. Okay, well, there you go. I guess something on my list, Google, but that's going to take hours and hours and hours. What are these virtual, I guess it's an agent or something like that. All right. What else would I tell my personal assistant? So, by the way, regarding, my feet smell terrible. My feet smell terrible. I have to kind of explain what it is in particular. It's the socks. They're wet. They've gotten sweaty. These shoes are just the worst for it. They don't air out well. And that goes to the issue that I actually need like a pair of Hokas or something like that, or maybe a pair of Brooks running shoes, because that's another thing we're doing. The things you see out the corner of your eye, the things you see around you. You take a walk over that bridge from Petco Park to the convention center area, and you walk along the little harbor there that they have, and they've got Ray's Hawaiian barbecue. I don't know if that's still there. I never made it that far, but it's right there at that hotel, and there's a Starbucks, and they're having the ESRI user convention there. And early in the morning I was there, not long after sunrise, and they've got, interestingly, this has always been kind of the fascination for me. I was not long ago at Dole talking about multi-generational wealth and the beautiful images on the wall, black and white images on the wall. This is what my grandparents did. This is what my great-grandparents did. This is a class that doesn't exist anymore. I'm not working doing this kind of stuff. They did all this for me. We're collective beneficiaries to incredible multi-generational wealth to just do, wife's in a fur coat, I look good in the bag, servant packed the bag. And that was, at Dole in Kalihi in Hawaii. And it's, in that area by Costco and Honolulu Community College where they train all of the, now they've got advanced manufacturing there and all of that. So there's Dole in that area. Dole has its own shipping company that has their cranes and all of that right there in that area. And they serve Dole Whip. Dole Whip is, you working, you get Dole Whip. Everybody, Southern California, everybody, Hawaii, everybody, coastal area. And it has a lot to do with the Matson liners and, Lurleen, Matsonia, and Malolo, and all these ships that people would know about, maybe something the grandparents told them before the Stratoliner, or the Strata Cruiser, and before the 707, that people were taking ships across the ocean. It would take 5 days to get to Hawaii, coming into Aloha Tower, like Amelia Earhart or Charles Lindbergh with their plane packed on, cargo hold of the boat, or loaded by a crane onto the ship. And you can see it there. So it's just very, very the deep emotional connection in that sense. But you see people running, and I'm like, well, I should be running from downtown San Diego here, right across that bridge, through the convention center, all the way to the airport and back. I should be doing that every morning, running, but I can't do it in these shoes. And in fact, on my left foot, two of the toes have a blister on it because they've gotten wet, they're sweating, they smell terrible. These are just not the best kind of shoes for it. I'm not sure if I should show you. You watched my argument from graph paper video. I showed you what my nails look like, and that's still another thing we have to tackle. I have to get a pedicure or something, or do it myself. I just got to put that on a list. Let's see here. So I don't see why we can't make that happen, and because of how broke we are, we're having to juggle all these different things that way. So, but that's fine. Okay, that's fine. So I tell my personal assistant, look, we're expecting a couple $100, and what I want to do with this, buy a pair of running shoes, most importantly, and then whatever is left over from that, here's what I want to allocate that to. I want to open an account at California Coast credit union or something like that to take my first paycheck from the work that we're going to be getting, because you've already put in these job applications for me, and boom, 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 it's all good to go and we're done. But right there, just these people around me, I these are complete vermin. I can't unless I can brainwash one of them to think like I do, and sit in a study room at the Central Library and talk about things that we can't afford. But the problem is, this is like, I look right at this is your class shouldn't exist, and your proof of it, if your moral values keep you trapped in, and you want to be the slave instead of owning the slaves. I want to own the slaves, and if that's kind of why I just have to be very direct about that. Like I said in my previous video, if you have a problem with that, we're not getting anywhere. If you've got moral values that trap you in your class, we're not getting anywhere. And I have to find a way to break these people out of that kind of thinking. And yes, it would involve, if it were like, okay, let's go down to the Embarcadero. I called it the Wednesday wedding window, and let's do the work couple thing where two real estate agents, and they don't do it that way. That's for people in some rural Nevada place like Jim and Glory Barrere, where we've been husband and wife since we were 15. We conservative family, and we help each other. That means you have two brains that are just not strong enough to execute on your own. If you're married, you shouldn't disclose it. She should keep her last name. You should both work for different brokerages, because you both need to make separate money in large amounts. Right there, if you're working together that way, you just know something's, maybe use someone better. That's just the way I've always looked at it in real estate and in life. But if we were to do something like that, it would involve, unfortunately, moral values that she would probably disagree with, because she belongs to that class that I say shouldn't exist. Like, these Catholics, don't ever take your kid into a Catholic church. They put a curse on your child. Yeah, I'd have to upgrade from her, because it's just the truth. Yes, we are just going to spin dysmorphically together in order to defeat the bad hand God dealt us, because it's part of it's too ugly a face, too ugly a body. Yes, we're heebie-jeebies. That's why we're concentrated in this concentration camp of a homeless shelter. But I said, you got to spin dysmorphically as someone that's 6'5" or something like that. And I believe you can put on height. I really do. If where there's a will, there's a way. But your identity will get better, and your bank accounts will get better before your body does. It's just a matter of truth. It's like, what attracts money, you attract money, you attract the people. For people that are taller than you are, for people that are more beautiful than you are, and you live your dream. But eventually you become incompatible with each other, because the trajectory at which your identity and your bank accounts are becoming more compatible with the individual, with the body, with the attractiveness level that you're becoming, that's always going to be a faster trajectory than the actual body, even though you might be 6'5" before you die, because you think that way. So that's where we're at. This is what I tell my personal assistant to do.